Welcome back to the More Auto Solutions YouTube channel. Today we have an R35 GTR. The R35 was made between 2009 until 2025. It has been discontinued for right now in the US based market, but it is still going on in the Japanese market. Now, there wasn't honestly a ton of revisions done to these cars from 09 to 25. Obviously, you had Nismo iterations. This one is a premium, so there was a base model with a premium. There was a few other small additions here and there, but the overall basis of the car stayed the same. If we come underneath the hood, you have the heart that stayed the same throughout its entire generation. It is the VR38 3.8 liter V6 twin turbo. They are hand assembled in Japan, and you will get a placard on every motor for who built your vehicle. Now, were these motors updated throughout the years? Yes, they did get updates as far as camshaft profiles. Turbo technology was increased size-wise, and like basically wheel technology got better for more response. Obviously, they did mess with boost pressure for certain like a Nismo of this generation would just have higher boost pressure. That's all you get, and maybe a slightly better exhaust flow. That's all you get. Now, they only came in a 6-speed DCT, which is a great transmission, and this is in a trans-axle configuration, so it's going to be with the transmission and the rear axle are as one unit. Now, it does have a 20 by 9.5 front wheel with a 255/40 and a 20 by 10.5 in the rear with a 285/35. It is staggered, and that's because it's a rearward bias car, which basically means it drives more like a rear-wheel drive car than it does a front-wheel drive car. Well, front wheel is all-wheel is basically what I mean by that. Now, in the front, you do get a 6-piston front Brembo brake. In the rear, you get a 4-piston Brembo brake. Now, the biggest thing is you get a 390 millimeter rotor in the front and a 380 millimeter rotor in the rear, which means you get a large contact patch for your rotor surface, which is amazing, which is why these cars were known when they came out for having a great brake package. Now, this is a 14, so if you are looking at a 14, it does give you the refresh on the front, so you get the daytime running lights in the front bumper. You get slightly different headlights. These are aftermarket units, so they're not representative for that. You do get the updated wheels that they did. They were still 20 inches before. They're just a slightly different look, and they did do a slightly different rear end configuration. It's very minute and very not noticeable, if I'm going to be honest. This rear wing pretty much made it through its whole model cycle. Now, they did have a fixed rear wing. These are fixed as well, but like a fixed actual profile wing on the Nismo units. Coming into the interior, you had 2 steering wheels. This is the later generation steering wheel, and they had another generation steering wheel that I'll put right here. I prefer the earlier generation steering wheel. I think it was more bespoke. It just reminds me of when I see a GTR. The seats did stay the same. Basically, the only difference you got is slightly different leather. You did get some Alcantara, but nothing too crazy. It's pretty much the same seats throughout the entire model years. They did have a back seat. How small that back seat is, it does exist. Coming in the interior, you have more mechanical gauges than digital, which I really do enjoy and I appreciate. So you're going to have your gauge indicator here, and you're going to have a small display unit that gives you certain values there. Now, coming into the center, you do have a GPS unit. It's okay. It's Nissan from 2014. They do make updated head units to give you Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I recommend updating to them. This is the most dated part of the vehicle. Obviously, it does have adjustable suspension, so you have an R mode, a comfort mode, etc. You can adjust how aggressive you want the differential split to be, and then you can adjust this is going to be your traction control, so you can either have an R mode, so it's like less intrusive, or you can have it just fully off. You do get a little bit of carbon fiber trim here. It isn't real, it's an overlay, but it looks really nice. A perforated leather style steering wheel. It was not suede. I believe suede was an option on the Nismo, but quote me if I'm wrong. Now, overall, how would I feel about the GTR aging? I think it aged really well. When these came out, they were considered really heavy. So this car is 3,829 pounds. In today's age, it is not. It is actually pretty light. So what I mean by that is it's not any heavier than, let's just say, a BMW M4. I mean, obviously it is a little bit lighter, but I mean, overall, you're talking about if you get an X-Drive new G82, you're talking about all-wheel drive, about the same weight, about the same power. So now you're putting these two cars kind of in their own class. I will say these cars do have hydraulic power steering. It reminds you how good it is. These cars drive really well. They're more rear-wheel bias than they are all-wheel drive bias. They just a really good overall package. I think if you're looking at adding one to your collection or driving one or just picking one up, I think you can't go wrong with it. I think it's a great vehicle that's just going to continue to appreciate because these have gone up significantly throughout the years. Like I said, this is a 14 premium. Obviously, you can get an early generation car. They did have a update on the transmission, so make sure that you're not going to get one with a transmission problem. And if you are prepared to handle it. Now, there is the later model transmission that this car would have. They didn't change it since then because it didn't have the problems the earlier generation did. Now, that's going to be your quick little overview of an R35 GTR. If you are looking at one of these, like I said, I would highly consider it. Just go drive one and see how the experience is. You will not be disappointed. And thank you guys for watching and have a great day.